The Nebraska Cornhuskers head into the 2025 football season with a fan base caught between faint hope and growing dread. After a 6-6 record in 2024 snapped a 7-year bowl drought, third-year head coach Matt Rhule faces intense scrutiny for his erratic leadership and a coaching staff that critics slam as a dysfunctional mess. Projections peg Nebraska as an average Big Ten team, likely scraping together 4 to 6 wins, with a best-case scenario of 7 and a worst-case plunge to as few as 2. A roster packed with potential, bolstered by high-profile transfers and young talent, is at the mercy of Rhule's questionable decisions, epitomized by the catastrophic 2025 Husker games, a spring debacle that has become a symbol of the program's woes. As the Cornhuskers prepare to take the field at Memorial Stadium, this comprehensive season preview dives into the team's roster, coaching, schedule, and prospects, revealing a program teetering on the edge of progress or collapse. The coaching crisis, Rhule's house of cards. Matt Rhule's tenure in Lincoln is under fire. Once celebrated for turning around Temple 10-4 in 2015 and Baylor 11-3 in 2019, he now faces accusations of being a blabbermouth idiot whose poor decisions cost winnable games. His 6-6 record in 2024 was a step forward, but losses to UCLA and Illinois exposed his shaky in-game management. Off the field, his choices have been even more perplexing, none more so than the 2025 Husker games, a spring event that replaced the traditional spring game and descended into chaos. Billed as a showcase of skill competitions, it unraveled as players struggled, prompting Rhule to abruptly cut events and add a last-minute scrimmage after fan outcry. His manic microphone-wielding presence, barking orders like a deranged ringmaster, earned the event the grim label the day Nebraska football died. The fiasco highlighted Rhule's indecisiveness and inability to handle pressure, a troubling sign for a season that demands steady leadership. The coaching staff is a lightning rod for criticism, blending Rhule loyalists, unproven newcomers, and holdovers with tarnished records. Dana Holgorsen, promoted to offensive coordinator mid-2024, brings a track record of high-flying offenses from West Virginia and Houston. His air raid system could elevate Rhule, but his limited time at Nebraska and modest 2024 improvements leave questions. John Butler, the new defensive coordinator, inherits a top-tier unit but lacks college play-calling experience, risking a step back from 2024 success. Mike Ekeler, hired to fix the special teams disaster, has energy but is also a disaster himself, and his faux aggressive style could backfire without discipline. Marcus Satterfield, demoted to tight ends coach after running a dreadful 2024 offense, remains a focal point of fan and player frustration. Labeled a drunk loser with a bad attitude, his retention is a head-scratching decision that underscores Rhule's loyalty to underperformers. Players reportedly blame Satterfield for stunting Rhule's growth, and his continued presence threatens to undermine the tight end group. Other assistants, like offensive line coach Donovan Rhule and defensive backs coach Evan Cooper, face scrutiny for inconsistent units, while newcomers like defensive assistant Phil Snow and defensive line coach Terry Braden bring experience, but unproven college results. Recruiting staffers Jamar Mosey and Keith Williams have bolstered Nebraska's classes, but their off-field roles offer no game day relief. The staff's hyper-phony, tough guy persona, as critics describe, creates a culture of bravado over substance. Rhule's micromanaging, evident in his Husker games antics, smothers player confidence, and fosters a perception of a clown show more focused on posturing than winning. With 3 new coordinators and 7 new hires, the staff's lack of cohesion could derail a talented roster. A roster built on hope, threatened by chaos. Nebraska's 2025 roster is a high-stakes experiment, blending returning stars, untested underclassmen, and a slew of transfers who could either spark a turnaround or fracture the locker room. At the center is sophomore quarterback Dylan Rhule, a former 5-star recruit whose 2024 season was a tale of 2 halves. He threw for 2,819 yards, 13 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, completing 67% of his passes, and helped Nebraska to a 3-0 start and a brief AP poll ranking, the program's first since 2019. But a mid-season collapse, marked by poor decisions and visible frustration, raised red flags. Many point fingers at Rhule's mismanagement and the disastrous play calling of former offensive coordinator Marcus Satterfield, whose offense ranked a woeful 111th in scoring at 23.8 points per game. Raiola's off-season work, shedding weight to boost mobility, offers promise, and new offensive coordinator Dana Holgerson's air raid system could unlock a 3,000-yard, 20-touchdown season. Yet, Raiola's occasionally goofy demeanor and lapses in focus leave doubts about his ability to lead under pressure. The running game rests on junior Emmett Johnson, who emerged as a star late in 2024, averaging over 5 yards per carry and racking up 484 all-purpose yards in the final 4 games. His dual-threat ability is a bright spot, but the running back room is razor-thin, with injury-prone veterans Gabe Ervin Jr. and Romer Johnson offering little reliability. The receiving core, a potential strength, is led by freshman standout Ja'Cory Barney Jr., who hauled in 55 catches for 447 yards in 2024. Transfers Dane Key from Kentucky and Nizia Hunter from Cal bring size and speed, respectively. But knitting them together with returners like Isaiah Nair risks chemistry issues if playing time becomes contentious. The offensive line, a sore spot in 2024, welcomes transfers Rocco Spindler from Notre Dame and Elijah Pritchett from Alabama, joining returners like Teddy Prochaska. If Coach Donovan Raiola, dogged by criticism for inconsistent run and pass protection, can forge this group into a cohesive unit, the offense could take a significant step forward. At tight end, Auburn transfer Micah Riley Ducker and Nate Borkircher provide depth, but their progress is clouded by Satterfield's presence as coach, a move that reeks of Rhule's baffling loyalty to a proven failure. On defense, Nebraska's 2024 unit was a standout, ranking 11th nationally in total defense at 312.8 yards per game. The loss of sack leader Ty Robinson Hurts and new defensive line coach Terry Braden, a former NFL assistant with scant college experience, faces a steep challenge with players like Nash Hutmacher and Norfolk State transfer Tyus Fields. The linebacker group, led by 7th-year veteran Javin Wright, 51 tackles in 2024, and Sun Belt Defensive Player of the Year Marquez Watson-Trent from Georgia Southern, is a strength, with Oklahoma transfer Dasa McCullough adding athleticism. The secondary, anchored by safety Deshaun Singleton, 71 tackles in 2024, must improve after faltering against top Big Ten passers. New defensive coordinator John Butler, promoted from secondary coach, lacks college play calling experience, raising fears that the defense could slip from its 2024 heights. Special teams were an outright disaster in 2024, with 10 blocked kicks exposing a glaring weakness. New coordinator Mike Ekeler, fresh from Tennessee, brings energy and kicker John Hall returns, but the unit's overhaul is unproven. Rhule's failure to address this issue sooner fuels the narrative of a coach out of his depth. The transfer portal has been a double-edged sword, injecting talent but threatening team unity. With 5 to 7 transfers, Key, Hunter, Spindler, Pritchett, Watson-Trent, McCullough, and Riley Ducker expected to start or play heavily. Returning players like Nair or defensive back Malcolm Hartzog may resent lost opportunities. While these newcomers are high caliber, the lack of continuity could breed animosity, especially if early losses mount. Nebraska's 19th-ranked 2025 recruiting class and early 2026 commitments, including quarterback Dayton Raiola, signal a bright future. But the immediate task is molding this disparate roster into a cohesive unit. The schedule, a gauntlet awaits. Nebraska's 2025 schedule offers early opportunities, but a brutal Big Ten slate. The season opens with winnable games against Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian, setting the stage for a potential 3-0 start. But the meat of a schedule, road trips to Michigan and Penn State, plus home clashes with USC and Iowa, presents daunting challenges. The October 25th showdown at Ohio State could define the season. A competitive showing would signal progress, while a blowout could unravel morale. Games against Rutgers, Indiana, and Wisconsin offer upset potential, but demand flawless execution. Bowl eligibility at 6 wins is the baseline goal, with a potential matchup against another average team. Early wins are critical. as the back half of the schedule is unforgiving. Rhule's history of dropping winnable games suggests Nebraska will need to steal at least one upset to reach a bowl. The outlook, a season of fragile hope. Nebraska's 2025 season rests on three pillars: Rhule's growth, transfer integration, and coaching execution. Holgerson's offense could push the team toward 30 points per game, a marked improvement from 2024's anemic output. The defense, despite losses, should remain a top 25 unit with Singleton and Watson-Trent leading the way. Special teams must avoid the catastrophic failures of 2024 to keep games competitive. Yet, Rhule's track record casts a long shadow. His penchant for self-inflicted wounds, evident in the Husker games and 2024's late season stumbles, suggests he'll cost Nebraska at least 2 winnable games through poor decisions. The transfer-heavy roster risks locker room tension if early losses pile up, as returning players may resent displaced roles. While a 9-win season is theoretically possible with perfect execution, Rhule's erratic leadership and the staff's inexperience make it a long shot. Best case, Rhule flourishes, transfers gel, and Nebraska capitalizes on early games, finishing 7-5 or 8-4 with a bowl win, signaling a program on the rise. Likely case, inconsistent play and coaching blunders lead to a 5-7 record, missing a bowl and fueling calls for change. Worst case, poor cohesion and Rhule's missteps result in a 2-10 or 3-9 disaster, reigniting demands for his firing. Final prediction, Nebraska staggers to a 5-7 record, with Rhule showing flashes of brilliance but Rhule's mismanagement, epitomized by the Husker games debacle, derailing any chance of sustained success. The Cornhuskers remain a middling Big Ten team, far from the glory days of Tom Osborne. Fans will watch with bated breath, hoping for a miracle, but bracing for another season of frustration under a coach whose flaws are increasingly impossible to ignore.